Hello beautiful, welcome back to my channel and welcome to this video that's gonna be I'm gonna do a full face of makeup. I'm gonna get ready for the day and we are gonna chat about makeup review red flags. What's to stay away from when it comes to just trying to buy a new product, trying to find reviews on product, and what things you should be looking for. I just want to have this kind of an open discussion with you on how I do in my reviews, how other people do the reviews, what my opinions are and what other people's opinions might be. You know, it's okay to disagree, but this is going to be me sharing how I feel. And if you haven't been here before, do consider subscribing before you leave because I do upload quite a lot of videos every week. And this video is in collaboration with my friend Nikki Raven. Me and Nikki have been talking online for I want to say we're coming up to 2 years now. We're both ladies in our best age. I think that she's like 44 or 45 and I am 39. And for very obvious reasons, we are looking for different things when it comes to makeup and when it comes to makeup reviews than we did when we started out YouTube. And this is why we started talking about this, because both me and Nikki, when we started watching YouTube and we started like joining the makeup community, we saw these like really gorgeous 19-year-old boys and girls saying this doesn't settle in fine lines. And both of us were like, what fine lines? What are you talking about? And we talk on Marco Polo almost every day, and she was talking about this, and I was screaming at my phone while she was talking, I want to do that with you, I want to do a collab. And then she ended the polo saying, do you want to do that together with me? And I was like, yes. So I am so excited. I really enjoy Nikki. Please go down and check out her YouTube channel. She is living in the Netherlands, and if you didn't know, I am European as well. I just moved to Texas from Sweden. So I really do enjoy her channel. I really do enjoy Nikki if you want to get a European perspective on the makeup community, and also from someone that is not 19. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit and we are gonna start applying some makeup, and I am gonna go through some of the points that I try to pinpoint when I'm doing a review, and also some points that make me go when I hear other people saying them in reviews. So the first thing I wanted to mention is actually calling a first impression a review. And this is something that I used to do myself when I started out in the beauty community, because I saw so many other people do it. And with time, I realized, wait, this is not what a review is at all. A review is like after I've actually tried it out and actually like know how this product is. So I will say there are definitely some videos on my YouTube channel when I started out when I called a first impression a review, and before realizing that, wait, this isn't helpful at all, and this actually isn't a review, because this is just me trying it out for the first time and I have no idea. I'm just gonna use a little bit on this one to cover this up, because I have no idea how this is gonna work out over time, or like if I'm gonna like this after a bit. And I still see some people calling their first impressions makeup reviews. And what I would try to look for if you're looking for an actual review is how long have that person done YouTube. Because if they're just starting out, it might be that they're doing the same honest mistake as I did in the beginning, just looking at what other people are doing and trying to emulate that. But if it's someone that's been in the beauty community for a bit and they're still calling a first impression a review, I say that that is probably a little bit of a sign of someone that's not really doing their due diligence when it comes to reviews. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. The next thing is something that I feel like it's an obvious thing to say, but it's not as obvious to notice. And that is, of course, anything that I would call cheating. Are they using filters? Or with the Michaela one, which is when I do believe that she used falsies in her makeup, like her review of the mascara, or like the sponsored post of her mascara. I've met Michaela. She's honestly super sweet, and she's fairly new in the makeup community. And even though she clearly did something she shouldn't do, and I honestly think that, yeah, you should be told that, like, listen, we don't do that, I still think that there's plenty of space to grow. That is not by far, not even a top 10, the worst thing a beauty influencer has done in this space. And I'm honestly a little bit shocked at how hard people are going at her. Because, like, yeah, that's definitely not a good thing. But in the grand scheme of things, other people have done a lot of really shitty things. And I just hope we don't see this from her again. I think that, and I've always said that, I judge people based on how they get up. and not based on how they fall. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how things go following this, but that is one thing to look for in reviews, and it's easier said than done. Are they cheating? Are they using filters? Are they using falsies? Are they saying that it is a 12-hour wear test even though they worn it for 20 minutes? Like, these things are hard to notice, but sometimes your gut feeling might be the best way. I mean, if someone is doing a review of a smoothing primer and they're using a smoothing filter, does it matter? Does it matter what they're telling you or what they're showing you, because you're not seeing anything? Or someone that's doing a review of a mascara and saying that this is elongating while they're putting falsies on. I don't know, like, does that matter? Or someone saying that they have tried something out for, this is something for me. People say like, oh, I've been trying this out for a really long time, and they say that it's not sponsored, but the product came out like 2 days ago. And like, it could be PR, but sometimes I feel like people are a bit vague. They're like not really telling us, how come you've been trying this out for so long, or have you been trying this out for so long? I feel like sometimes trust is all you have as a beauty reviewer. I've been loving this foundation. It's the Dream Matte Mousse. It's so good. I know, it's so surprising. I've been coming back to this one, but I've really been enjoying it. As a beauty influencer, all you have is the trust between you and your viewers. And if they don't trust your reviews, then like, you are of no value to people anymore. And then of course you can have different preferences, and this is what we're gonna come into like in a bit. But I do think that as a makeup reviewer, if you get caught lying or cheating about a review, it's really hard to get that trust back, because people are gonna be like, okay, so that wasn't true. Is this true? And it's not easy to see things such as like filters and stuff like that. And this is why, like, I mean, you can see everything in my skin. I don't use any filters on YouTube. I don't review makeup on like TikTok or Instagram or anything like that. I showcase things and then I review them here on my YouTube channel. And I think that's also a different thing. If you're just doing pretty makeup and showing it, I don't care if you're retouching it. But if you're reviewing a foundation and saying how beautiful it is and that you've been trying it for a really long time and it gives you flawless skin, and you're using a filter, it does make me question you a little bit. And that's also a reason why I started doing some of my makeup videos for TikTok, not on my phone, because TikTok does put a filter on your videos. I film them with this camera and then I make them into a short, or I make them into TikTok and upload them that way. In that way, I'm able to keep like my texture and all of that. So everybody does things differently, and I'm not saying that I'm the best, but I do try to think about like, am I showing the product the way that you're gonna be able to experience it? Because if I'm here trying to explain to you why I like or why I dislike a product, and you can't see any of the things that I'm explaining, does my review even mean something? Or is it just chitter chatter filling an empty space? Another thing that I like to look for in reviews, and especially when it comes to eyeshadow, when I am deciding if I want to try a brand, when I'm looking for reviews, which I will say I don't look at reviews as much anymore as I used to a while ago, because now if I buy something, it's because I want to review it myself and I don't want to have like opinions from others to like influence me before I get a chance to try it myself, unless it's something that if I already know a formula from a brand, I don't care as much. But if I'm trying something for the first time, I try to not get influenced by what other people feel about that formula, about that brand, or about anything like that. But I will say, back when I was trying to decide what eyeshadow do I want to try, what brands do I want to get into, I realized that one of the most important things was, do they use the same technique as me? Because I have been disappointed by quite a few makeup things, realizing that we don't use the same technique, and I don't want to use their technique. I want to use my technique. And sometimes I get disappointed, and I also see sometimes people using my favorite eyeshadow formulas or my favorite or my favorite bronzers or foundations or concealers or powders, and I see them use them in a totally different technique, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. For example, I rarely start with a transition shade because I feel like that just lightens up everything that goes on top and just makes stuff look diffused and not as pigmented and not as deep. And when I see people, for example, start out a bright, colorful look with a pastel in the crease, I already know that we're not going to have the same preferences when it comes to makeup, because they are going to probably think that this palette is going to be, they're not going to prefer something that is as like pigmented or as bright as I am. They want to start with a transition shade first, and I very, very rarely do that. And that is something to keep in mind for you as well. Like, are people using the same techniques as you are? Do you want, because sometimes I also see people only starting with the darkest shade all the time, and then when I try it and I'm not even able to build one shadow on top of each other, because I like to start with the middle shade and I'll blend out the edge with the lighter shade, and then I'll add, I have something here that's itching me, I think it's like a cat hair or something, and then I like to build a darker shade on top because I feel like that usually gets the best results when it comes to blending. And when I'm not even able to build one dark shade on top, I realize the reason why I'm not liking this is because we're using so different techniques and they're just looking for other things in their makeup. And that's just something to look for. What kind of techniques are they doing? Are they doing baking? Are they only using cream products? Do they set their products with powder? And if they are not doing what you're doing, you might not like it the way that they like it. And this also comes down to preferences. Try to find people that have the same preference as you. If you're looking for someone to review eyeshadow for you, try to see if they already love some eyeshadow formulas that you know that you love. For example, I saw someone that really hated one of my favorite eyeshadow formulas, and I was so surprised because I was like, what do you mean? Our makeup styles look fairly similar. Like, it looks fairly similar. We were using kind of the same techniques, but then she mentioned that her favorite formula was Morphe. And I actually don't like Morphe eyeshadows. And that made me realize, oh, we just have different preferences. We just look for different stuff in eyeshadows. So she probably would have looked at my reviews and been like, why don't you love my favorite brand? And that's the way it is sometimes. And there are plenty of people whose reviews I trust for some things and not for other things, because we have wildly different preferences when it comes to what we prefer in makeup, what we would like the end result to look like, and how we work with makeup. It is not up to me to decide for other people how they're gonna do their makeup, but it is up to me to differentiate which people I can trust depending on if we have similar preferences or not. For example, I cannot use glitter glue because glitter glue pretty much always creases on me. So when I see people using glitter glue, I'm like, I think I'm gonna have to like look at other reviews as well, because I can't use glitter glue, so I need to make sure that these eyeshadows work without glitter glue as well. But I always spray my eyeshadows, for example, before I put them on, because I want them to be as foiled as possible, and I try to avoid, how is this looking? This is looking great. I try to avoid fallout. But if you're the kind of person who only want to apply your eyeshadows with a dry brush, for me, you're gonna get a totally different result. And maybe listening to me isn't the best idea, because I don't want that result. And I also don't want that fallout. Sometimes though, I'll use my finger because I think that that gets a similar result, especially now when I have somewhat shorter nails. But yeah, it's all different depending on how you do your makeup, what you want your makeup to do for you, how you want it to look in the end is also very, very important. That's looking really... I'm so impressed. So let's talk about what things I think we should be looking for in reviews then. What things that I look for in reviews. And of course there are things, like we all have different things. I'm gonna try this one for the first time. I have mine in Sahara. We all have different things that we look for in reviews. Me, for example, I don't care where it is made. I don't care how much product is in there unless it is a product that I go through, like eye primer, concealer. If it's an eyeshadow, I don't go through eyeshadow. I don't care. Wow, that's pretty. I don't care how much is in there. But we all have different things that we're looking for. I'm gonna let you know what I look for in reviews. I don't know why I'm surprised, but this is so much creamier than I thought it was gonna be. Why is that so surprising to me? Another thing that I don't like when people do in reviews, because I don't do it myself, is when people set their eyeshadow with like powder or a see-through, like a bone colored matte or a, for them, skin colored matte before they go in with eyeshadow, because I don't do that. And when people do that and then say, oh, this isn't pigmented, I'm like, well, you kind of set the primer, so the primer is not sticking to the eyeshadows. And also sometimes when I see people that really love neutrals, when they review colorful eyeshadows and they're saying that they're not blending as effortlessly or anything like that, and not understanding that different pigments work in different ways, and you might need to switch up your techniques or switch up your brushes when you are working with something that doesn't naturally blend into your skin tone, like a blue or a purple, unless you're a Smurf, and then of course they do blend in seamlessly. But I do think that sometimes we do need to switch up our techniques when we're using pastels, when we're using neons. Neons do not build. Don't try to use a neon as a crease shade and then build on top of it. It's not going to work, because neons have so much white chalky pigment in them to make them that color. And again, this is just me being in love with eyeshadows and being in love with colorful eyeshadows and just looking for these different things when it comes to reviews. I'm actually going to be doing a look mixing these two together. This is the new Muse palette by Cosmic Brushes. Looks like this, and this is the Serenity palette, which is the older palette that they came up with. I saw some people asking if I thought they were the same. They definitely have some colors that are a little similar, especially 3 colors, but everything else is very different. This one, for example, does not have any blues in it. It has 2 purples, and then 2, like, this one is like a little bit of a purple, I guess, like a purple matte, but there are no blues in this one. And in this other palette, let me actually see if I can pull it up next to each other. There's a lot of blues in the first Cosmic Brushes palette, the one that is on the top here, but there are no blues in the new one. There are 3 green shadows in these palettes that are a little bit similar. You can see the 2 like bright greens here, but this is darker and this is lighter. And I will say, I have swatched these side by side. They are not the same. There are no dupes between the palettes, but there are 3 greens that are a little similar, to the point where you're like, you see them in the pan, and then when you swatch them, you're like, oh no, they're not the same. But they're a little similar, like the bright green, there's a dark cool tone green as well, but the one in the new palette is significantly darker than the one in the older palette. But I do hope that the next palette that she comes out with doesn't have, I love greens, but doesn't have any of these like warmer greens, because I would hate for people to think that like she's coming out with another palette that's the same. But just so you know, I did swatch them side by side, and they're not dupes, but there are a couple of shades, 3 to be exact, there are on a similar scale, but not dupes. I am actually going to be trying out these 2 shades together. This is a peach matte, and this is like a grungy greenish brown. And I'm going to be trying those out together, and we'll see how these, I have no idea if they're going to work or not, but I love Cosmic Brushes, and I want to try something that's like a neutral with a twist together with this lip color. Okay, when I look for reviews, especially like I said, now with the colorful shadows, when I look for reviews with colorful shadows, I look for people that use the same techniques as me, that likes the same result as me, and that understands that you need to switch up your techniques and need to switch up your brushes when it comes to different colors. That's what I look for myself. And then of course I try to see, do we like the same brands? When it comes to like foundations and stuff, oh my, there are so many concealers and foundations that I tried, as a fluff here, that I tried when I first came into the beauty community, that people were loving, and I just couldn't for the life of me understand why anyone would love these, because I thought they were horrible. Remember that Urban Decay All Nighter foundation? Oh my god, I hated that foundation. It was like liquid lipstick on my skin. And I realized me and the person who loved it, we don't have the same skin type. We don't have the same preferences. And she was like 15 years younger than me. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. So when it comes to foundations and when it comes to powders and concealers, I try to look for, and also like cream products. This goes for cream products too. What kind of skin type do they have? Are they oily? Are they dry? Do they prefer to have a dewy face? Do they prefer to have a face that's not set down? Because I like my makeup to set down. I want to be able to touch my face. Where do they live? Do they live in a dry climate? Do they live in a humid climate? Where do they live? It makes such a difference. Me moving from Sweden, that is fairly, not maybe dry, but like it's dry during the winter, but definitely not humid. Sweden is not humid. Moving to a humid climate, everything acts differently. So if you have oily skin living in a humid climate and taking advice from someone who has dry skin living in a dry climate, you're probably not going to enjoy the same products. I'm just throwing it out there. I think this blended into each other pretty okay. I am going to layer one more shadow on top. Today I'm doing what I said I don't normally do, but I really wanted it to pull a little peach. And that's the thing with transition shades. They will change whatever you put on top. And if you don't want it to change, don't do a transition shade. I'm gonna switch to the Muse palette because I want to use, I think I'm gonna use this one. It's like a dark plum. And then I want to use the two duochromes that are in here. This one here that has like a warm base with like an almost tealy sheen. It's super pretty. And then this one that has like a purple with a more minty sheen. So I think I'm gonna be using those, and I am so excited because I really think that this is gonna turn out super pretty. Okay, so things that I do look for is age, climate, preferences, skin type, and of course, what kind of technique are they using? What kind of result are they ending up having? And I mean, sometimes when I want to try something that's a little bit more glowy, for example, and I am, like I said, I have combo skin, I am 39, and I live in a humid climate. I will see if my friend Heather Austin likes it, because she is also in her 30s, she lives in a humid climate, and she has oily skin. So if she tries out something and she really likes it, that is usually a green light for me, because we have a similar taste when it comes to makeup products. And I feel exactly the opposite when it comes to my other friend, Samantha March. She has dry skin and she has acne prone skin, which I do not have. And she also doesn't really love foundations, and she lives in a dry climate. Dry skin, dry climate, and she's looking for totally different things with her foundation. If she loves something, I might not. Like, she put one of the foundations that I had in my yearly worst products of the year. She put in her best products of the year. Do I think she's lying? Of course not. Of course not. We just have wildly different preferences when it comes to makeup due to having wildly different canvases to work with. So I'm gonna try the darker of the duochromes, the one that's called Ambient. And I did spray this one a little bit before, but I want to put not too much of this one out here to be a little darker before we go into that lighter one. Look at me doing a neutral look. Who am I, right? I don't usually do neutral looks if you haven't caught on with this on my channel. I'm more about the bright and the colorful, but I do love a good dramatic eye look, I will say. And if it's dramatic, I can really enjoy a neutral as well, or as I like to call it, a neutral with a little bit of twist that I do think that this is. It's a little bit more grungy, a little darker, and some duochromes. Please let me know down below what are some of the things that when you hear it in a review, you instantly go, no, absolutely not. That's not gonna be for me. So this is the lighter one that's called Antique. And I'm gonna put that in the inner part. And I think you can see there's a difference. This one is more of a dark teal with a plum base. And this one is almost more like a mint with a slightly lighter purpley base. Really interesting together. Oh, and if you weren't able to catch this this palette, the Muse one, before it sold out, she is restocking it. It is not limited edition according to the owner, so just keep your eyes open. She will restock it. And I do have a code with this brand. My code is Angelica if you want to save some money off on this brand. But yeah, I know a bunch of you wanted to buy it and it was sold out, but she is restocking it. That is actually turning out to be quite the interesting neutral look. What do I want to have in my inner corners? I think I'm gonna bring out a matte pastel by ColourPop, because ColourPop does a lot of really good matte pastels, and I'm gonna put that in my inner corner. I think that's gonna be the last one. Okay, I put some lashes on, and I'm actually gonna be using this oldie but a goodie Orange You Glad, and I'm gonna be using this pastel peach in here, and we are gonna see, because I remember that I used to use that sometimes in my inner corners to get something that was like a light peach, but not like super blinding. Maybe I should put a white on top, but maybe this is enough. I really like how this is looking. When I hear people describe stuff as dewy, or when they are describing their skin as very dry, I immediately know that we're probably not going to be enjoying the same kind of makeup. So that makes me go like, ooh, we're probably not going to like this. And also when people say that they prefer like easy there but not there clean makeup, just like a shimmer across the lid, I also know that we're probably not looking for the same things when it comes to eyeshadows. Okay, let me zoom out and we can end this video with, I don't know, conclusions. I hope that this really came through in this video, but I just wanted to say most people are not liars. Most people are very genuine and honest in their opinions, and just because they're not 100% matching your opinions doesn't mean that they're lying or that they're telling you something that isn't true. They're just telling you their truth and how they are feeling about a product. I have people screaming at me in caps lock every week on my channel, calling me a liar because I didn't like a product that they liked. And I don't know what to tell you. Maybe I don't like the same things that you like. I don't like super glowy, dewy cheeks. I don't like the super dewy foundations, especially not the ones that have shimmer in them. We might not like the same things, and that is totally okay. Just make sure that when you are actually basing your purchasing decisions on something, make sure that you are listening to a person, why they are liking something. Why are they liking this thing and why are they not liking this thing? Because I want to make sure, and maybe this is the biggest red flag when it comes to reviews, when someone tells you they love something or hate something, but they don't tell you why. Why is this the best thing since sliced bread? Why is this the most awful product of 2023? What about this product makes it special in any way of the spectrum? When people just say, I love it, run, don't walk, buy it now, I'm just left with a why. What's so special about this product? What about this product makes it amazing? Or when people say this is awful, I hate this product, why did you hate it? Because the reason why you hate it or the reason why you love it might be the reason why I feel the opposite about it. And I think that that might be the biggest thing to take away from this video. Well, maybe the two biggest things to take away from this video. Please only watch reviews from people that actually explain why they feel the way they do about a product. And remember that just because somebody doesn't feel the way that you do about a product doesn't mean that either of you are incorrect or lying. It just means that you have different preferences when it comes to makeup. If you're interested in any of the things that I used today on my face, they're gonna be in the description box. Also, don't forget to check out Nikki's video. I'm so excited to hear what she has to say. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!